Hello, this is the Nantucket Current for August 12th, 2026, being read by Joyce. Town officials address flock cameras in lengthy statement by David Creed. The town of Nantucket has issued a statement regarding the flock cameras at the intersection of Easy Street and Broad Street, stating that the cameras were installed in September of 2021 and that flock cameras were not put forward as an agenda item to the Select Board. According to the town, Deputy Police Chief Charlie Gibson is Nantucket's lone automated license plate reader administrator and the only person who receives notifications from their flock camera. He is the only person who reviews requests from other agencies to access the data stored on these cameras. The data that is collected belongs to NPD, the town stated in their release. Any other agency wishing to access our information would submit a share request to our ALPR administrator. The NPD administrator has confirmed that NPD has received a small number of share requests from local municipal agencies, but has not allowed access. At no time over the past 5 years has it allowed any access to any outside agency. Beyond Flock, the town said NPD also has a contract with Axon Enterprise Incorporated, which was signed on September 3rd, 2022. It stated the contract was part of Article 10 at the 2022 annual town meeting and was adopted. It includes body-worn cameras, tasers, and in-cruiser cameras. The initial 5-year contract included a maximum project amount of $494,100, with payments invoiced annually, the town said. The agreement with Axon was effective as of September 21, 2022, and remains in effect through September 21st, 2027. A change order was apparently drawn up later on to include the addition of 12 automated license plate readers, which equates to one camera for each primary marked cruiser for an additional $35,280, bringing the total cost to $529,380 or $105,876,000 annually. This change order was on the Select Board's agenda at its December 14, 2022 meeting and was included on the list of contracts for approval, the town said. The description in the packet was add license plate recognition technology to police vehicles. The town said the flock cameras were not put forward to the Select Board for review or approval, claiming that such agreements are typically considered administrative, such as the other types of user agreements, including licenses for the use of ChatGPT and Microsoft. Town officials confirmed that NPD signed their user agreement with Flock on March 22, 2021, and the 2 cameras were installed in September of that year. The most recent annual invoice that they have received from Flock Safety was for $6,000 for the 2 cameras. The current, through a Freedom of Information Act request, received copies of these 5 invoices. The sole intent of the cameras at this intersection is to capture license plate information of vehicles coming from or going to the Steamship Authority, the town explains. The system automatically scans plates against state and federal databases like the National Crime Information Center. It sends audio or text alerts to the department within seconds if a stolen vehicle required to a wanted suspect, or vehicle tied to an amber silver alert passes a camera. This is particularly useful if a wanted vehicle is arriving or attempting to leave the island via the Steamship Authority. Prior to taking any action involving the vehicle, the status of the license plate and vehicle is confirmed with the Department of Criminal Justice Information Systems. The current asked to town provide one or more instances where flock camera technology helped solve cases on the island to support their presence and value to the department. Gibson told The Current the agreement was made in March of 2021, and the pictures posted on the Nantucket Bike Shop Instagram appear to prove him correct, and that at the very least, these cameras were not installed prior to July of 2020. In a pair of photos found by Nantucket Current contributor Jack Bradner, one photo from July 7, 2020, posted on the account shows the cameras absent from the pole where they are currently installed. However, in a photo posted on August 13, 2021, the cameras are in clear view 1 month before the town says in their statement they were installed. As technology has evolved, ALPR systems have become an important and widely used tool in modern policing, the town said. They support officers and investigators by generating timely investigative leads, assisting in the identification and location of vehicles connected to criminal activity, and helping locate individuals who may pose a significant risk to the community or who are themselves vulnerable or at risk. The technology has contributed to the successful resolution of numerous investigations and has become a valuable component of everyday public safety operations at NPD. The use of automated license plate readers technology is intended to support legitimate public safety objectives by providing Nantucket police officers with an additional investigative tool, the town continues. The system does not replace officer judgment or traditional investigative methods. Rather, it serves as one source of information that may assist in locating vehicles associated with criminal activity, identifying investigative leads, and enhancing community safety. Last Wednesday, the town's chief technology officer, Michael Alvarez, expressed major concerns about the camera's presence on the island to the select board during public comment, offering differing perspectives on the technology. He confirmed he was not involved in the process of purchasing, approving, or installing these cameras. I want to be very clear, Alvarez said. The chief technology officer is not part of the Nantucket public safety chain of command. Neither I nor my predecessor had any involvement in the purchase, approval, or installation of any automated license plate readers on Nantucket. I also want to be equally clear about my personal opinion. I do not believe automated license plate readers belong on this island. Modern vehicle recognition technology can collect far more than a license plate number, Alvarez continued. Depending on the system, it can identify a vehicle's make, model, color, and other distinguishing characteristics. As these systems continue to evolve, they are capable of extracting increasingly detailed information about the vehicles, and by extension, the people passing before them. I believe that collecting this amount of information on residents and visitors without individualized suspicion or a warrant poses a real threat to our civil liberties and has no place in our communities. According to the town, NPD is currently working toward accreditation from the Massachusetts Police Accreditation Commission, which is required for any agency using ALPR technology. As with any law enforcement technology use, it is governed by applicable laws, department policy, and established procedures to ensure it's used responsibly, consistently, and in a manner that respects individual privacy, the town concludes. Chris Perry column, She's the Heart and Soul of the Hospital, by Chris Perry. While many in the Nantucket community were celebrating the 29th annual Boston Pops concert on Saturday night, another celebration has been taking place within the walls of the Nantucket Cottage Hospital since May, honoring a milestone that deserving of its own fireworks display. Interestingly enough, there was no heroic deed that triggered this honor. There was no medical miracle that thrust one of the hospital's own into the limelight, or a lab discovery that elevated this person to island-wide notoriety. Instead, there has been a daily dose of random acts of kindness and warmth that has been her calling card for the past 40 years, sincerely dispensed to anyone who walks through the door. While the hospital's ID badge might identify her as identify her as Geraldine Amparo Reception, everyone simply knows her as Jerry. Jerry is the heart and soul of the hospital. She's the first person you meet when you walk in the door. She's always happy, upbeat, and willing to help, said Tibby Allen, a longtime volunteer and friend of Nantucket Cottage Hospital. Jerry is the heart and soul. She runs this place, said NCH nurse Sadia Lewis. She makes everyone feel comfortable, whether you're a visitor, a patient, a doctor, or a visiting staff. I've worked here for 10 years and generally work the night shift, so I see Jerry in the morning when I'm leaving. As I walk out the door, I can't help but smile because she always says, "Go get some sleep, honey." When I first walked through the front doors of NCH 15 years ago looking for a job, she was the very first person I met, said Amanda Bidlack, the hospital's patient access manager. I still remember how warm and welcoming she was. Jerry immediately made me feel at home, and that first impression has stayed with me forever since. She truly embodies the spirit of NCH, and her 40 years of service have left a lasting impact on this community. Jerry is proud of her work and even more proud of the hospital. I was born in what I call Nantucket's first hospital on Westchester Street in 1951. Then I started working in the second hospital in 1986 and moved into the third hospital when it opened in 2019 as the front desk receptionist, recalled Jerry, reminiscing about her 40 years at all three Nantucket Cottage hospitals. It seems like a lifetime ago when I first started as a certified home health aide and a nursing clerk, and it wasn't until '89 that I moved into the receptionist position. I just love to help people, and the job was a perfect fit for me, Jerry said. Throughout the time we spent together at our command post inside the hospital's front door, it was hard to have a running conversation as a parade of patients, staff, family, and fans couldn't resist an instinctive pause to check in with Jerry at her desk. Despite these interruptions, it was equally difficult to get Jerry off her game. Knowing that she must see it all and hear it all, I asked Jerry about any highs or lows, but she stayed in her lane. To her credit, she was more focused on the job at hand, the people she has met, and the relationships that she has forged spanning decades. Certainly, the hospital is bigger with far more departments now. You'd be surprised how many different services we offer. At the very end of the day, we try and help each other. There are so many nice individuals who work at NCH. And truly, it is about the people and the Nantucket community, offered Nantucket's most popular gatekeeper. I love my job, but to be honest with you, family and friends are most dear to me. I have lived a quiet life on Nantucket and have settled in nicely in a house on Boynton Lane thanks to Curtis Barnes. But Nantucket has been very good to me, said a member of the Nantucket High School's graduating class of 1969. Besides family gatherings, I still make a point of getting together with my friends, and I know many classmates from Nantucket High are still on the island, such as Nancy Lamb, Shelley Lamb, Yvette St. Jean, Bob King, Lloyd Arnold, Patsy Cody, Genevieve Harmon, and Father Kevin Cody from St. Mary's Church, she said. As I was about to ask Jerry about the Boston Pops, Carrie Chattel from the physical therapy department stopped by and offered, "Jerry is a beautiful, warm individual and helpful to all." Then it was Jim Clary, NCH's Environmental Services and Housing Director, who is known island-wide for his steadfast dedication to walking the 2.2 miles to work every day, who couldn't resist and chimed in, "I affectionately call her Jerry Garcia. I see her every day, a fixture at the front desk and always smiling." Randy White, who has volunteered for over 20 years at NCH, strolled by and said, "I have learned more from Jerry than anyone else. There's only one Jerry." Before trying to get back to the subject of the Boston Pops, Erica Nauman, who had a golden retriever service dog, Monty, in tow, offered, "We are here a couple of times a week with our service dogs to sit with patients. Jerry is the heart and soul of this hospital." Finally, there was a break in the action, and I returned to the topic of the Pops, and I asked her about the annual event. "Two things come to mind," she said. "This is my time volunteering with Ann Bayless, Jenny Carey, and Tibby Allen back in the day when we would pass out all the stuff the morning of the Pops. It was always great fun. The second was an invitation by former hospital president Dr. Margot Harmon, who asked me to sit with her. It was a great honor." Any other honors? I asked, thinking I would get a juicy hospital tidbit or community prize. Actually, there's one. I was the last person on the cover of Debbie Anderson's last local phone book, and that was kind of neat, she said. Just then, compliance manager Jen Monto, who had been listening to our conversation, leaned in with a wry smile and said, "I can't believe they haven't fired her yet," Monto said. Seriously, I've known Jerry for about 20 years, including a time when I was traveling back and forth from Martha's Vineyard. She goes out of her way to be helpful. Jerry knows everyone and treats them with admiration and respect. She is a Nantucket native and has institutional knowledge. In this small community, people rally around her, and she is loved by all. Rallying around her is what the Nantucket community did when Jerry had a serious medical scare a few months ago. I was feeling pressure in my chest, and ultimately I had a stent put in up at Leahy Hospital in Burlington, she said. I missed about 30 days, but I am back and feeling much better. As they say, behind every successful hospital, there's a successful woman, and Jerry certainly fits the bill. Success comes in many forms, and in a hospital setting, Jerry's success at putting people at ease and sending them in the right direction with a supportive smile is a unique quality unto itself. However, for Jerry, I don't think she fully understood her role and how impactful it can be until recently when she had a chance encounter with Ellen Hildebrand at Stop and Shop that helped put things into perspective. One day I was shopping for groceries at Stop and Shop and I saw Ellen right in front of me. I am a huge fan and wanted to say hello, but I was a little embarrassed. I didn't know what to say, so I snuck up behind her, tapped her on the shoulder, and said, "Hi, Before I could finish my sentence, Ellen said, "Hi, Jerry, I know who you are. Everyone knows who you are." Jerry, on behalf of everyone who has had an opportunity to meet you, be it at the Nantucket Cottage Hospital or Stop and Shop, thank you and congrats on 40 years. Hensdale Club developer withdraws request to utilize land bank property for equestrian program. Alan Warden's request was met with skepticism and pushback from land bank commissioners and community members. Amid a flurry of community pushback, developer Alan Warden has withdrawn his proposal for an equestrian club on land bank property on Milestone Road. After his withdrawal at Tuesday's meeting, several members of the Land Bank Commission voiced their opposition to the project. When we came before you 2 weeks ago, we did not ask for a vote. We asked for time to learn, and a chance to plan collaboratively with your staff before anything was fixed on paper, Warden said in a letter provided to the Current and read aloud during the meeting. It is clear the timing is not right. An idea that early does not deserve to be settled by a vote in either direction, and I would rather step back than press something that is not ready. Warden had initially requested that the land bank consider leasing him 28.65-acre parcel of land at 41 Milestone Road to host a public equestrian program. The land is directly behind the 10.5-acre property Warden plans to develop into the private Hensdale Club. The equestrian program would have been a separate, independent, nonprofit open to the public. But while the Land Bank Commission's members seemed open to the idea of a public equestrian club on island, they had already expressed criticism of Warden's specific proposal at a previous meeting and made clear Tuesday that he had not withdrawn his request, it would have been defeated. This is precedent-setting for the Land Bank Commissioner, Neil Patterson said. My opinion is I would vote strongly against it. Vice Chair Mark Donato, who ran the meeting in Chair Christina Jellum's absence, agreed. I would definitely be opposed to this, he said. We are elected. It's all public land. Whatever you guys tell us is what we're going to do, especially if it's a strong majority like this. Donato was referring to the large number of Nantucket residents in attendance Tuesday, many of whom voiced their opposition to the project. In statements made at the meeting, letters submitted to the land bank, and a petition with 45 signatures, dozens of islanders came out against the equestrian club, arguing that it would restrict the use of a key piece of public land intended for the enjoyment of the community at large. Almost no one took the other side. My concern is whether dedicating nearly 29 acres of public land to a specialized equestrian use represents the highest and greatest use of public property, said Graham VC, who challenged Patterson for his seat in the Land Bank Commission during the most recent local elections. For me, indoor recreation comes to mind. Nantucket needs more year-round, easily accessible recreational opportunities. The letters the Land Bank received ahead of the meeting struck a similar tone. Allowing private management to control public land and charge fees for its utilization directly contradicts the definition of genuine, unrestricted public access, island resident Paul Greeter wrote. Public land must remain entirely within the public trust. It should never be leveraged to subsidize, supplement, or benefit adjacent private developments. Warden, who had said that the program would be called Milestone Stables and would model itself on Nantucket community sailing, claimed to have received significant positive feedback from the community. We will take it back now, keep listening to the island, and return only if and when there is something this commission would welcome, he said. Our commitment to being a good neighbor is unchanged. In his withdrawal letter, he defended the program. The land bank holds more than 3,400 acres, and thanks to your work, that land carries a genuine mix of open space, agriculture, and recreation, he wrote. We looked at that and thought 28 acres of it, a fraction of 1%, might make a good recreational option for all Nantuckers. Several Nantucket residents suggested that they would support a public equestrian program, perhaps even on land bank land, but that the specific parcel Warden was targeting was too heavily used by the public and too important to the neighborhood. Just because it's adjacent to the facility that you're going to build doesn't mean it's the right piece of property to do it on, Select Board member Bob DeCosta said. There's plenty of other land the land bank has that could be used for this. Warden added that the Hensdale Club is still planning a smaller equestrian program on its own property that he hopes will open to the community in the off-season. We hope to help a few dozen children. It is a fraction of what we hope to build with you, he said. We believe the full program could have touched hundreds of islanders, but our plan is the beginning, and we would rather begin than wait. Despite increased rainfall, state doesn't budge on Nantucket's drought status. By Jason Grasdy. Despite significant rainfall on Nantucket over the past month, the Massachusetts Drought Task Force decided late last week to keep the island under a Level 2 significant drought designation, leaving its status unchanged. Nearly 8 inches of rain fell on Nantucket over the past month, more than the island had received in the previous 6 months combined. So when Nantucket Water Department Director Mark Willett saw that the state task force had left the island's drought designation unchanged last Friday, he was incredulous. I have lost what little faith and trust I had in the Massachusetts Drought Task Force, Willett told the Current. The water in Nantucket's aquifer is technically owned by the state, so Willett is charged with managing the resource under a water withdrawal permit from the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. Under the Level 2 significant drought status, he must enforce a series of water use restrictions required by the state for those connected to municipal water. Those restrictions include limit all non-essential outdoor water use, no automatic irrigation of any kind, including drip irrigation, no watering except with a handheld hose or water can after 5 p.m. or before 9 a.m., fix indoor leaks, check toilets, faucets, and showers, limit pool fills. Willett had hoped to see the state downgrade Nantucket's drought status to a Level 1 designation, which would have lessened the water use restrictions. We shared a graphic depicting the water levels at the United States Geological Survey, monitoring well off Russell's Way on Nantucket, which has equipment that radios information about the groundwater table and elevation to the state's drought task force, which uses that information to set Nantucket's drought status. Despite the rain over the past month, the water level at the well has continued to decrease rather than increase, as one might suspect. Still moving down, Willett said. How is that possible? possible. Willett has previously expressed concern about the well on Russell's Way, stating that it does not always accurately reflect the full picture of groundwater levels on Nantucket because of the soil type in which it was drilled. He had been actively lobbying the state to allow Nantucket to use multiple wells to determine the groundwater levels and the island's drought status. We now have a consultant and myself working to get that change with DEP to not just be this well, he said earlier this year. This well is screened in tight soil, so yes, it's recovering, but it's a slow recovering well. Throughout its history, there are other wells that are in a different material that are more sand and gravel and less tight, silty clay that recovers faster. How will the Select Board prioritize $1 billion in proposed capital projects? The town's lead policy-making body convenes Thursday for a workshop to do just that. On Thursday, the Select Board will meet to prioritize Nantucket's massive capital improvement plan, which includes over $1 billion in proposed spending over the next 10 years. Documents released in advance of the meeting show the tentative priorities of the Select Board members. While the preferences listed in the Select Board's agenda packet are far from complete, with members leaving some items blank and requesting more information on others, the documents offer a look at what projects the board might put first and what might be left behind. The projects that received high priority designation from at least 4 of the Select Board's 5 members include general municipal facilities improvements and a new Department of Public Works building, the latter of which town meeting recently approved design funding for. Proposed projects that received a low priority designation from at least 4 members include a new senior center, a Sconset fire station, Hulbert Avenue rain gardens, a natural resources research vessel, and an earthquake study. The town's finance department has warned of the upcoming collision facing Nantucket as dozens of expensive projects come due at the same time. New Select Board members Jill Veith and Bob DaCosta have called to rein in spending and cut back on some of these major expenses. Now the Select Board will have a chance to prioritize the projects in the capital improvement plan and decide which ones will be shuffled to the bottom of the pile. Some of the largest projects on the plan include a $105 million for an Easy Street flood barrier, $120 million for Steamboat Wharf resilience improvements, and $200 million for Washington Street corridor resilience improvements. All 3 projects received mixed reviews from Select Board members in their rankings. The Easy Street flood barrier and Washington Street corridor resilience improvements only received a specific designation from Brooke Moore and Don Hill, both of whom deemed it medium priority. Steamboat Wharf resilience improvements received a high priority designation from Moore and Hill, but a low priority designation from Veith. All of these projects are also related to coastal resilience, an area where DaCosta has expressed skepticism at recent Select Board meetings.